If that is what he's trying to say, I agree with it. But this is how it comes out. Hi, my name is Lacey, and welcome to my recap of episode 8 of the Big D's Nuts. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when they are live. I do a ton of other dating shows, claim to fame, and I want to do more movie tier lists and recaps. So if you're into that sort of thing, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much. We are with the final 4 couples. We have Angelique and David, we have Ben and Casey, Dean and Amber, and Devin and Alexis. Angelique and David are talking. Angelique is talking about how her life changed, especially with Ben. This experience is life-changing, and Ben is there, and so it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with for Angelique. David says that he wants what Angelique and Ben had, in that Ben was her best friend, so David wants to be her best friend and lover and all that stuff. David pisses me off here because he says he can rein in the energetic and fun Angelique. Rein in? Excuse me? Excuse me? Mm-mm. There's no reining in of anyone. You let her be, okay? Angelique, though, is she's kind of freaking out because it's too much too soon. And so she's having kind of doubts right now. Casey gets texts from her ex, Brooks. And Brooks is freaking out, saying how he's disrespected and blah, 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 blah. And Casey is sick of it. I am sick of it, and I've only seen him in 2 episodes. I've only seen him 1 episode, and now this. And he is too much, because these controlling exes are not letting their exes move on. That's problematic, okay? I don't like it. And he makes her feel guilty, and she should not be feeling guilty for moving on and exploring somebody else. They are broken up. They are divorced for a reason. Fuck off, Brooks. Amber tells Casey to deal with Brooks first and take her power back before moving on to something else serious. Angelique tells Casey she wants to run from David because it's too much too soon. There's a challenge, and so they are given paints and a canvas, go to their separate places, get naked or in their underwear or whatever they want, and they are to make paintings without using brushes. So just using their bodies however they want to. Casey and Ben, Casey's like, I could do my butt here, but this is weird because we're just kind of getting to know each other. And they have a paint kiss, like put paint on their lips and kiss, and then it's like, ugh, that's paint. Ugh. Dean and Amber, they have a sexy painting. I like it a lot. And Amber leads, she kind of is the creative vision of it, and he goes along and he lets her lead, and it's a very lovely painting. Angelique and David, they have conflicting ideas. She wants one thing, he wants another, and in the compromise, they did too much. Alexis and Devin, they've been married before, they've gone through everything, so he just gets butt-ass naked and like, okay, let's do this. And they have a lovely painting with kind of like the Michelangelo pointed fingers across the canvas. And the 2 winners of this challenge get a sunset cruise, and those 2 couples are Dean and Amber and Devin and Alexis, and they get to go on a sunset cruise together. After they won, after the winners are announced, Devin is super excited and he gives everybody a hug. This pisses off Alexis for some reason because she wanted to share the win with him. I don't know what that means. She wanted to be beside him, like she didn't want to get him to give anybody hugs. It's not that serious. So then Devin says, like, why are you upset? And she goes, nah, why are you hugging everybody else? And he goes, oh, okay, there's going to be a fight. Now's not the time. Let's go separate and talk about it. And she's like, no. And so then they just get in a fight about it. And it's stupid. And then he gets blamed for having a short temper when she's the one who was bitchy to begin with. And she doesn't let him talk. She cuts him off constantly and then blames him for having a short temper. And he blames her for ruining a positive moment because they won. And what's funny is that Dean and Amber are like, if this is how they are when they win, I wonder what it's like when they lose. Angelique pulls David and says that she's pulling away from him because she feels pressure and rushed. And he doesn't want her to feel that way, but he's also kind of not listening to her. And he's saying he's not going to let fear stop him from this connection. And they share a little kiss. So I guess they're okay. It doesn't seem like it, but whatever. Later that day, people are in the pool, and Devin takes the L and decides to apologize to Alexis. I don't think he really should have, because he didn't really do anything wrong by hugging other people. So she was the one who was kind of like in the wrong, in my opinion, for making it an issue when it really shouldn't have been an issue. But he takes the loss and he apologizes in front of everybody, and then that gets Dean pissed. And to be fair, I see where Dean is coming from throughout this whole episode, but he is going about it and explaining it in the worst way possible. So what I think he's trying to say is that Devin is always the one apologizing, but does Alexis ever get called out on her behavior? And does she ever have to apologize to Devin? So Dean, I think, is trying to say that he wants to see more of a balanced dynamic as opposed to a whooped man always apologizing when he shouldn't have to. And I agree with all of that. If that is what he's trying to say, I agree with it. But this is how it comes out. It comes out with Dean asking Alexis for an apology for treating Devin less than. He says, why are women always the one that we sympathize with, and why isn't it the men? And so I think that by generalizing women versus men, Dean closed off a lot of ears to what he was actually trying to say. Like, it's not women versus men. He shouldn't have said that. That's not what this is. I think it's the fact that Devin is always apologizing to Alexis, but she's not taking accountability for her wrongdoing and apologizing to him. That's all I think Dean is trying to say, but he's saying it in the worst way and saying women are always the sympathizers, but why should they be? Sympathize with men. And that pisses off the women, and that pisses off Devin, because Devin's not hearing that Dean is actually on his side. Am I wrong? What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Am I reading this right? Am I reading this wrong? What did you guys think? Did you think Dean's against women, or do you think he's just wanting more of a balanced accountability with Alexis and Devin? What do you think? Tell me down below, because this one was driving me nuts, and I'm wondering if I'm a crazy person for thinking that Dean is kind of making sense in a very, very poor way. So then, because Dean brings up the women versus men thing, then Devin is calling him sexist, and then everybody's mad at him. Angelique pulls David again and says, like, hey, I like you, but you're not hearing me. I need to take a step back. This is too much too soon. I'm not ready for serious. And so David kicks Angelique out of the room to sleep that night. So Angelique goes back and sleeps in her room with Casey, and Casey's like, what just happened? And so Angelique tells her. Ben, also, prior to this, Ben tells Casey that she needs to take her power back with Brooks and to have a deal with that storm before moving on to anything new. And she says it's not fair to Ben to bring Brooks into the relationship with them. I like Casey and Ben together, so hopefully. It is time for the sunset cruise date with Devin and Alexis and Dean and Amber. And this is light that match. Devin and Dean get into a fight about the same stuff. Like, Dean asks Devin, like, what do you want from Alexis? Like, how can she be better for you? But then Devin gets mad and yells at Dean. And then Dean's like, hey, if you can yell, I can say my piece because you stood up and I just took it. And you don't give me the same, like, it's my turn to talk now. So Dean comes at Devin hard. Devin calls Dean a narcissist. Dean thinks that Devin and Alexis are just jealous, and it just gets very, very heated, and I don't really like it, because it's like, ooh, is this gonna get physical? It's very intense, and I don't really like it. But I do think that Dean is sticking up for Devin. I really do. And it's just weird, because it's like, if he said it in a different way, like, I feel like none of this would happen, but whatever. In there, they separate, and And they talk about eliminations, and Dean and Amber are talking about Angelique being a toxic person and not really wanting anything with David. And so they're like thinking that they might eliminate them. Devin and Alexis are thinking Dean and Amber gotta go because they just don't like Dean for some reason because he's loud and calls Alexis on her shit. At the villa, David and Angelique make up, I guess, and then Casey tells the confessional that she doesn't think that Angelique really likes David. We'll see. It is time for the elimination. There is no immunity this time either. Everyone's talking shit. Angelique and David are good now, I guess. Dean and Devin get into it again. Devin's patronizing, saying you're not on the same intellectual level. And it's just like, Devin's pissing me off now because he's being very aggro and saying that Dean is not as smart as him. And it's like, where do you even get that idea? Like, I don't know. It's too much. The host fucking ended, thank Christ, because it needed to stop. They go around in couples and vote for who they think should be eliminated. Devin and Alexis vote Dean and Amber. Dean and Amber vote David and Angelique because they think that Angelique is controlling David. David and Angelique vote Dean and Amber because they say that Dean was a different person once Amber got into the villa. And Casey and Ben also vote Dean and Amber because they say just take the test outside the house. Amber isn't shocked. She says it was a popularity vote and she's pretty chill about it. And she says, like, I found growth here and I'm happy with Dean. We reconnected. And Dean said that he learned patience and he's happy to leave with Amber. And so Dean and Amber are out of the villa. The last three couples are Angelique and David, Casey and Ben, and Alexis and Devin. Out of those three, Casey is not ready for a serious relationship with Ben. Angelique is not ready for a serious relationship with David. And Devin and Alexis were previously married. And he has a temper issue and she won't take accountability. So we'll see. Who are you guys thinking is going to win? I'm going to guess Devin and Alexis because the other two aren't ready yet. And they already have their thing, so it's like easier. So that's my guess on who's going to win. Who do you think? Leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time for the D.